Hello, and welcome to another Super Mario Bros. Warpless Tournament of 2020 race. Today we've got ymgc versus jscarbo. I'm super excited about this match. Super Mario Bros. One of the best games of all time. I don't know if all of you know just how great of a speed game this is also, but we're about to see. And not only that, but we're about to see two different versions of it, because as you can see, ymgc is actually loaded up on the Super Famicom version of the game, or Super Nintendo version of the game, the All-Stars version, which, just to get that out of the way right away, yes, it is absolutely 100% All-Stars or the NES version, whichever you prefer. Now, technically, the All-Stars version is technically slower for a couple reasons. However, ymgc is arguably, we can argue over whether it's arguable, that he is the best All-Stars player in the world. He just has the sweep of all of the world records for the All-Stars version. At least one of the best. That's putting it lightly. So his performance on All-Stars here is best of the best, and then we'll see jscarbo on the 8-bit version. So it'll be fun to see the two. It'll be fun to see the two right after, or right next to each other here, sorry. So right away, we're seeing both players grabbing the power-ups as soon as possible, which is a great race strat, very safe to do. So the players generally want to get firepower in this race because it saves time, not only in just allowing you to use firepower to get through the levels a little bit more safely, but it also means that each time that they get to a castle and they have to fight Bowser, the fire kill on Bowser is actually faster than hitting the axe. So we'll see that in action as well. One thing to note about the All-Stars version is that firepower is particularly necessary for All-Stars because one of the differences between the two versions of the game is the piranha plants have bigger hitboxes. One thing that, if you've ever seen this game run before, or even if you haven't, and you'll witness right now, is that on the NES version, the piranha plants are a lot smaller than they look as far as their hit detection. It's kind of really their stems that are harmful to Mario. But but on the All-Stars version, it's all the way up to their lips. So it's a little bit more important to use the firepower. Wow, both players actually using some similar strats here. I like it. Oh, and they are in sync. One thing that I really like is just the way that they were both shooting the Koopas extra times and all that. Fun to see there. And look at that, perfectly in sync here. 8-bit versus 16-bit. This is super exciting. And here we're going to see that Bowser kill I was talking about. So as they approach Bowser here, they'll shoot off these opening shots so that they hit Bowser just as he spawns in. That way, because you can only have 2 fireballs on screen at once, it's fastest to shoot balls kind of early. However, here is where, oh shoot, I should have segued into right there is where you see the All-Stars time loss. So even though the two players were basically in sync on that level, on the All-Stars version, you actually have to wait for the timer to count down on castles, and that is pretty much the defining factor as far as talking about which game is technically faster to run when played perfectly optimally. The real deciding factor there is the fact that All-Stars takes longer to do the castle fanfare. So yes, that makes the 8-bit version faster. But as we'll see, with ymgc's expertise at All-Stars, we may see the reason that he prefers that version. Oh yeah, and so I should also talk about that. I was saying they ymgc is. Oh, I guess I did talk about it earlier. Just that he's very experienced with All-Stars. Okay. Anyway, sorry. What was I talking about? Something about opening shots on Bowser. We'll get to that next time. For now, they're in a water level. And I kind of missed all the interesting stuff in that, except for that reef at the end. Oh, and a weird cheap there at the end for YMGC. That was pretty tough for him to snipe with a fireball because it was too low, but it was too high for him just to ignore it. So he kind of had to wait up on that cheap a little bit there. So that was a little unfortunate cheap pattern there for YMGC. Moving on to 2-3, though, we got the bridge with the flying cheeps. I love the way that you're underwater and there's cheeps. Then you're back over the water. You're on the bridges, but the cheeps are still coming after you. And one thing, generally, All-Stars has some interesting stuff about it where, like, you'll generally notice that the cheeps are very, very friendly in the All-Stars version, while they kind of tend to cut it a little bit closer on the NES version. And a similar thing you'll notice just with the behavioral patterns of some of those things, you'll notice differences in other places as well. Like Potaboos, for example, the jumping fireballs that are in castles. You'll notice that in All-Stars, they tend to go much, much higher. And so that allows you in that version of the game to oftentimes jump under the Potaboos with a lot more ease than you can in the NES version. Also, I guess one thing as well to say about the difference in like difficulty between the two games is that I mentioned earlier that the piranha plants are more difficult in the NES or in the SNES version due to their larger hitboxes. Well, they're harder to jump over, but that also means that they're easier to hit with fireballs. So that's kind of one interesting trade-off as well. Anyway, as we're seeing here, jscarbo is maintaining a nice, healthy lead here. About not quite a level lead where YMGC is staying in the same level as he is, but it is a pretty healthy lead that he's got going right now, and they're both playing very, very well. Carbo doing some very specific enemy kills here in order to make his jumps, his landings easier. But man, I gotta say, from what I'm seeing of jscarbo's play here, he is a swag Mario player. He is doing more like tricks and flourishes and fancy things than I've seen like anyone on this tournament be doing yet. He's probably going to go for the all... Oh, no! I thought he was going to go for the all Koopa kill 3-3. Where you... Oh, my gosh, though. But, like, those Koopa kills and stuff. It's a pleasure to see the way that he's playing. Very, very high entertainment value. YMGC not far behind here. And here we get into 3-4. So 3-4 is a level that... check out these Potaboos. So after jscarbo gets through these fire bars, check out these Potaboos. They're pretty low. You see how they're all going just kind of low, but he like very skillfully jumped under all of them, which was awesome, by the way. Super awesome job. But on the All-Stars version, these things are flying high. Look at how high these things go. You barely have to think about the ability to jump under them. So interesting differences like that also kind of determine which version of the game a player kind of prefers to play on, because the Potaboo behavior there is, you know, not to be forgotten. These castle countdowns, though, whoa, little brutal. All right, and jscarbo, goes for the flagpole glitch, doesn't quite get it. Ooh, ymgc with a little bit of swag of his own, turning around and shooting that spiny right behind him. I'm loving it. Both these players are really pulling out all the fun tricks. You love to see it. And then now we're moving into 4-2, one of the most fun the most fun underground stage of the game, I would say. One of the most fun stages in general. jscarbo, not willing to sacrifice any swag, is going for the bottom route. Going across the top or going on the bottom in this level can be the same exact speed, depending on how well you do it. The bottom route is a little easier to master, in my opinion, but a little more dangerous. YMGC also going bottom route here. But on the All-Stars version, one other difference of the All-Stars version that I should mention is you'll notice that there's almost no enemy despawning. So in the NES version, if you destroy very certain, very specific enemies, you can it doesn't matter what you do. There's gonna be despawning on the NES version. The game can only load in so many enemies at once. And one level that we'll see that very well on is 6-2. So we'll get to it on there. While the NES or the SNES version has a much easier job spawning in pretty much every single enemy. And the reason I bring up 6-2 is due to the piranha plants of that level. But level 4 here, interesting little zigzag that you have to do to get down to the bottom row there. Otherwise, the castle just loops. And we get to a very treacherous Bowser. Nice slide under and backstab from jscarbo there. Really interesting Bowser setup, the 4-4 one. Just the way that you've got a Podoboo, you've got a fire bar, just lots of business around that Bowser. And then getting into 5-1 is where a lot of the difficulty starts to ramp up in this game as well. So, ooh, nice job from ymgc there. I love the animation on Bowser when he's getting hit by the All-Stars, or the All-Stars version, when Bowser's getting hit by the fireballs. Perfect 5-1 from jscarbo there. 247 is what you want to see on that timer. Or was it 257? It ends in a 7. That's the point. One thing about Mario running that you'll notice is the digit of the timer that the level ends on. Oh! jscarbo got the old 5-2. How do you do? So, at the beginning of 5-2, there's this cannon where if you go all out and you 100% go as fast as possible, then the cannon might just shoot you at the mercy of RNG. Otherwise, if you slow down just a little bit, you can avoid it. But you don't want to slow down. You're in a race, you're going for a PB, you're going for world record, what have you. So you don't want to slow down. And that's basically like the one part in the game where you might just get hit if you're going full speed. The cannon can just decide to shoot you. So we call that the 5-2, how do you do? ymgc did not get the shot, and yes, worth mentioning, jscarbo got a fantastic recovery there. He knew exactly where those power-ups were, which ones were the fastest to get, how to get them very quickly. Excellent recovery there. And yes, a Podoboo is the jumping fireballs that are in the castles. All right, and onward we move. 5-3 is one of the most treacherous levels in the game. Carbo got some nasty bills, but he got through them very, very well. Ooh, ymgc actually had to slow down there a little bit because he got a very weird bullet bill that didn't allow him to safely jump down onto the first platform. So he kind of had to slow down there a little bit, but excellent, reaction. If he had not done that, he may have fallen into the pit, died, which not only takes time, not only sends you back in the level, but then you're small Mario again. So taking a death is a catastrophic error. So he avoided that just by slowing down just a little bit there. Into 5-4, one of the most difficult castles in the game, and jscarbo made it through without taking any hits. Which is fantastic, because 6-1 is a level where you oftentimes see players have to stop and collect power-ups. So luckily both players made it through with their firepower. They can kind of run through 6-1, similarly to 4-1, the way that you just got Lakitu lazily tossing out these Spinies whenever he feels like it. And now here's 6-2 that jscarbo is in. You'll notice that a lot of these pipes don't have piranha plants in them, and that's due to the NES's ability or inability to spawn enemies, versus, how many are on screen. Carbo doing an excellent job making short work of each one, just all of these precision fireball shots, because like I noticed earlier, or like I commented earlier, the smaller hitboxes on the NES version means that every one of those fireball shots that he shoots out to shoot those piranha plants, it has to be precise in order to hit their hitbox. Meanwhile, so for ymgc now, we see the All-Stars version where every single one of these pipes is able to have a piranha plant in it because the SNES is able to do it. So similarly, we see ymgc with kind of a different pattern on getting through, since he has different plants to shoot, but also makes perfect work of it. 342 on the timer is exactly what you want there. Getting into 6-4, we have a very interesting trick at the beginning here. Watch jscarbo as he jumps under this Podoboo at the very start. Hooah! Just like that. Doing that and then running limbo. Oh! Oh, he went too early. You got a limbo under that fire bar, and that manipulates the spawns of all of the different fire bars in order to get you to be able to run through at full speed. However, if you're just too late, then they're not correct. But if you're just too early, then you hit your head on the fire bar and you take damage. So jscarbo, it's going to be interesting to see how he decides to power up here now that he's small entering World 7. Looks like he is going to stop for the earliest possible power up. We've got a mushroom there, and if he can hold this mushroom throughout 7-1, he'll be able to get firepower at the end of the level. But whether or not he's getting firepower, it's really important that he has the big, because the level has so many hammer bros in it and bullet bills and all kinds of things to oh, is he going? Oh, he went for the BBG. Didn't quite get it, but he went for it. Okay. So I kind of missed ymgc's 6-4 there because I wanted to see jscarbo's recovery there. So yes, he got the power up at the beginning of 7-1, kept it throughout the whole level, so now he's able to have firepower again. That's huge, because at this point in the game, there aren't power-ups anymore. There aren't enough power-ups to get you to firepower in World 8. And the World 8, especially 8-1 at the start, it's super important to have firepower so that you can get through the level at maximum speed without taking too much risk. You can do it at max speed small, but it takes really, really risky strategies that we wouldn't really expect people to be doing in races. All right. Oh, jscarbo gets trolled by a blooper here at the end of 7-2, so he had to slow down just a little bit there. We'll see how ymgc's patterns end up over here. But oh, he gets a little bit of a weird blooper there, but swam up and nailed it. And then 7-3 is an interesting level. Well, you notice that 2-2 was 7-2 is a lot like 2-2, but with different enemies. 7-3 is a lot like 2-3, but now we've got these Koopas that are on the bridges. So jscarbo is hitting those with firepower. The reason being that, oh, that was such a close cheap. But Carbo, oh my gosh, that was such a beautiful duck jump that he did there to get just under it. And I think he might have even swag bopped it, but I'm not positive. All right, so ymgc is on 7-3 now, and as I was mentioning before, the cheaps they just seem to be a little nicer to you in the All-Stars version, so we probably won't see quite as insane of a cheap dodge on that side. But either way, you still have the Koopas to deal with, because the cheaps can actually turn the Koopas around, totally mess up your jumping if you don't just take them out with firepower instead. All right, so we're on to 7-4. Wow, Carbo got a really low Potaboo there. I'm surprised he didn't duck under it, but it was high enough that he didn't have to. Really fast Bowser kill on 7-4 there. We'll see how ymgc does. Meanwhile, Carbo's getting into World 8 here, and this is the level that I talked about being really important to have firepower, because there's all these high pipes that have piranha plants in them, and then something directly after. So you can't just jump straight over these pipes, or you will then bump up into something. They can jump over Bowser. The reason that you don't want to jump over Bowser and hit the axe is because then you have to wait for the bridge to collapse and Bowser to fall down before the fanfare starts. If Bowser is dead to fireballs when you touch the axe, the fanfare starts immediately. So that saves you time every single world by having firepower. Except for World 8, because timer ends on the axe regardless of fanfare. Anywho, so both players getting into World 8 on with firepower here, and yeah, the strats small here to like pipe jump over these plants and stuff are super difficult. So very, very important that the players both got firepower to be able to go max speed in World 8. jscarbo with another unfortunate hit there. It looked like the Koopas gave him kind of a weird pattern there, and then it looked like his chance to jump over them happened to have a pit there. Very sinister pit placement from Nintendo there to get that to happen. So he powered down, immediately got back up to big, though. Going to be really interesting to see whether he decides to take a power-up in 8-3. Definitely a good idea to take the regular power-up, because you know, this race is so close that World 8 does not have checkpoints anymore. If you die in World 8, you go all the way back to the start of the level. And 8-3 is chock full of hammer bros. So a death in 8-3 would, you know, jscarbo has had a half-level lead this entire race. And so if he died now, it's only a half-level lead that would turn the tides right there. So really, really important for him to have powered back up, just make sure that he's safe through the hammer bros, keep his lead, get into 8-4. Meanwhile, ymgc not letting up here either. He hasn't taken any damage yet, and is popping through 8-3 with firepower, no problem. Doesn't have to stop to power back up, but does have to worry about these weird hammers. So jscarbo going for the wall jump here. Ooh, he nails it. Perfect. And then we'll see if he goes for the turnaround here as well. There he goes. Beautiful turnaround. You wanna scroll the screen as little as possible right there while scrolling it enough. The reason that you jump past the pipe and then jump back into it is to get the game to send you to the water section instead of having to go to the next pipe, because the game determines where a pipe goes based on where the camera is. So you just scroll it past the pipe a little bit, then go back, sends you where you need to go. jscarbo with a beautiful, looked like 1944 on the timer at the end there. Absolutely wonderful time. ymgc also hit the turnaround there, now getting into the water section. And we'll see just how he finishes this here, ducking under that. Oh, wow, that was really close at the end, but yeah, absolutely nice water section. Under that super high potaboo, through the hammers, in with a 2019. Absolutely beautiful time from both runners. 2019 is an insanely good time. Oh, excuse me, I'm hiccuping. Insanely good time for the All-Stars version as well, because as we mentioned at the top, the All-Stars version does have those slowdowns. Having to wait for that timer on all the castles really slows you down. But ymgc showed us just an absolutely beautiful playthrough of the All-Stars version. Almost as good as it gets, you know. And yeah, I mean, it being just the version of the game that he's mostly comfortable with, you know, that's a tough time to run against. So yeah, absolutely great race. Super pleasure to watch. I don't see either of them in here for commentary at this point, so I guess I'll move on to what we saw there. Yeah, that was a really interesting race because yeah, the All-Stars version, as we talked about, is a bit of a handicap technically because it is slower. ymgc prefers to run it because it's the game that he plays the most. That's where his muscle memory is. That's where his level strategies are. You know, it's the version that he runs because he often does those like he often does runs that are like, you know, all games like Mario 1, 2, 2J, and 3 all on All-Stars, you know, which is like a multi-hour run. And he's the world record holder for a lot of those categories. So that's his version. That's where he can play best. And yeah, with a couple of power downs that we saw from jscarbo. I mean, it's amazing that Carbo got hit 2 or 3 times. I think he got hit 3 times. I want to say he took damage and still ended up with a 1946. So that goes to show just how excellent all of his strats are. I mean, his recoveries were super fast. All of his regular strats, like the Bowser kills and all that, were just super fast. So so it's amazing to see a sub 20 time even with those power downs in it. Meanwhile, yeah, ymgc I don't think got hit at all. And that makes me a little bit curious as to look one thing up here. But yeah, that was a super enjoyable race. I hope you guys really liked it as well. And just for the record, yeah, a 2019 would be something like a 18th place. Looking on speedrun.com right now, that's like 18th place in the world for how fast of a time that is for this version. So yeah, that super amazing run that we saw from both players. Really exciting. So thanks to SpeedGaming for hosting us. Thanks to you guys for watching, and to the tournament admins for putting this together, as well as the runners for racing, because it was a lot of fun to watch and commentate. I hope it was a lot of fun for you guys to watch as well. Check out SpeedGaming's website. Go to the schedule. See more Mario action. There is more Mario to come. They've also got a bunch of other games that they're doing. So go look at the schedule. Stick around for more cool stuff. And on top of that, there's a Discord as well if you want to chit-chat about the races. So have yourselves a wonderful day, and I hope to see you guys on the next race. Bye-bye!